Well, we picked a good day to have our best day on offense. Very proud of our guys. Quarterback was fantastic. Obviously, he had over 500 yards of offense himself. And defense kind of settled in on what to do. We went through some growing pains in the first quarter and a half defensively, trying to get things adjusted and communication. I was a little concerned about that. It showed its ugly head a little bit. Then we settled down, made good halftime adjustments, obviously played very well. The key to this game was Rob Glass, our strength staff, our conditioning, our ability to play fast. In my opinion, we fatigued them and they never could play catch up. We struggled early in the game with them. My concerns going into the game was their length on their offense and defensive line, their ability to get their arms extended on us. They're longer than we are on both sides of the ball. So we had to play fast and try to wear them down, which we did. And the coaches made fantastic adjustments at halftime. We challenged the team at halftime that anybody that didn't want to come back out and fight, play by play, they need to stay in the locker room. And they came out and they fought and competed, and couldn't be any more proud of them. This is clearly the biggest win in the history of the school. You're in a New Year's Day Bowl. You're two top 10 teams, number 5 team in the country. You're playing Notre Dame. Biggest comeback in the school history, I think somebody said, down 21 points in the Fiesta Bowl. The biggest win in the history of school. So as I've said for a month, that we've got a logo that we can be proud of now at Oklahoma State from coast to coast. We've got an opportunity to do something special. We take advantage of it and find a way to continue to push forward. We can do something special. So I couldn't be any more proud of Oklahoma State administration, our players, coaches, fans that traveled to the game. We had a great showing, and obviously it's a great day for Oklahoma State.
All right, first question we'll take from Barry Trammell.
Yeah, Mike, you said you needed to, you said you challenged you guys at halftime, but it seems to me you didn't have to do that. They've sort of shown all year they're not going to come, they're not going to quit. Texas, Boise State, you've had several games where you guys came out, were a different team in the second half. Were you confident that you were going to see that better version of yourself after halftime?
I was confident that our players would compete. Again, I go back to my concern was the length they had up front on both sides of the ball. We struggled in the first half with that. Now we went 2 minute and scored right at the end of the first half, which gave me a little more confidence. And so obviously that told us to do that. But these guys are they're mature. They're veterans. They've been in this program. Most of them, particularly on defense, been in the program 4, 5, 6 years. And for that reason, I didn't have any concerns. I was just hoping that we could hold up with the length they had on both sides of the ball up front.
I'll take next question from Garen Emig.
Mike, I was going to ask you about whether this in fact was the sort of the biggest win, the pinnacle in terms of the program history. You answered that, and so I think what I'll do is ask if this feels like a sort of culmination for you and what you've done in building the program as you have since you got the job 17 seasons ago.
Well, I'm very proud of everybody that's been involved. I'll be honest with you, it was a lot of hard work. We've got good people in place, and I've said this a number of times. We've got a chance to move forward at Oklahoma State in football, and I'm hoping we get a 100% commitment in all areas, and we can try to take this thing to the next level. Today's win gives us that opportunity. And honestly, we came in and went toe-to-toe. 2 good teams playing today. They're 5th in the country. But as we talked about in media for the last 3 weeks, we were playing Notre Dame. Everybody knows who Notre Dame is. And our guys stepped up and met the challenge. And to answer your question selfishly, yes, because I'm an Oklahoma State grad. I'm an Oklahoma State person. My family's in the state. I have taken a lot of pride, and I'm very, very appreciative and very excited about what we've built at Oklahoma State in football.
Next question, Cody Nagel.
Yeah, Mike, how would you evaluate the defensive play calling and just the plan that you had for that? And do you feel it took, the first half for kind of get things figured out?
We've struggled in the first quarter, to be honest with you, more than I thought we would have. We just had it wasn't communication. I just didn't think we were on track. Now, I will say this. I thought that Notre Dame had a really good 15-play starter list that they executed to perfection. So I'm not going to completely disregard their ability to game plan and call plays because they had a good concept, several good concepts. They caught us in some things that we can be caught in at times. But once we kind of settled in, we had several guys involved in play calling. They were helping each other, which I want them to help each other. I'm going to say that I made the right call in doing it that way because I heard communication on the headsets before the defenses were called. And that's what I wanted. I wanted everybody to be involved from the standpoint that we hadn't had anybody on our defensive staff that's called plays in a game, and calling plays in a game is not easy. I know that for a fact. So they worked together as a group. They had great practices the last 3 weeks, and once they settled in, I thought they were really good.
Marshall Scott.
Yeah, Mike, earlier you mentioned picking up the tempo, and Spencer seemed to play better as that tempo got picked up. How is it that a quarterback can play better when things start to happen quicker?
Well, they weren't able to use their up front advantage. They were bigger and longer than us on both sides of the ball on the offensive and defensive line. And when we played fast, they didn't get to sink their cleats in the ground, and they didn't get to use that length. So it gave him more time to throw the ball, and it allowed him to make quick decisions when at times they were struggling to get lined up. That made him a better football player.
Scott Wright.
Yeah, Mike, could you kind of detail some of the changes that you made defensively in the second half that sparked this turnaround, and who kind of led the way with that?
So we started going to some more zone where we rolled up corners out on the perimeter, and then we went back to some of the base man stuff that we used all year and had success with. And so essentially we tried to offset some of their free access in the flat on quick, easy throws. And then as the game went on in the second half, we went back to what we're good at. And the biggest play of the game, not just because he sat in here, is the sack that Brock Martin had. And then after that, they threw the interception, forced him in a down the field throwing situation. And obviously Malcolm was Malcolm, but before that, Brock got a sack. We weren't able to get many sacks or put a lot of pressure on him because of their length, as I said now 3 times. So we had to find other ways to play good defense, and they did a good job of mixing up some of those calls in the second half.
Sam Hutchins, we'll let you go, then Barry, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, Coach, to get 2 monster performances from your 2 seniors, Malcolm Rodriguez and Tay Martin, maybe 2 of the best players on this team. How fitting is that considering what they've done this game, this season, this year? I assume you speak to maybe how great it feels, but also maybe how fitting is it to get 2 biggest performances from those guys in what you said is one of the biggest games in Oklahoma State history?
Well, you always want your players that are competing in their last season and their last game to have success. They've put a lot in. These guys are warriors. This is a violent, physical game. Their bodies are beat up. They can feel everything at night when they go to sleep, and they feel it again when they wake up in the morning. So for them to be willing to come out and put their bodies on the line for our culture, for our organization, and then have success makes it all worth it.
Barry, follow-up question?
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned that last possession of the first half. You're down 28-7, and you 1:16 left. You guys take it down the field in 4 plays. What was the feeling as you started that series? Is there any trepidation about forcing things? You feel like you had to? How confident were you that possession majority of you guys could turn into points?
So my feeling is that we needed to do something to create momentum. And I'll be real honest with you, I didn't have much confidence in us going down and scoring in 4 plays. And my concern was taking a sack because we hadn't protected very good up to that point, or Spencer not being patient and firing the ball into coverage and trying to make a play. Quarterbacks do that when they get impatient, but he did a great job of understanding it's one play at a time. But all 3 of the things that you just mentioned that I was concerned about, 100% I was concerned about all 3 of them.
And how much do you think that turned the game around, just from your psyche, from Notre Dame psyche, from everybody's psyche?
You know, a week ago, somebody sent me an article that came out online somewhere on momentum. I don't know where it came from, and I opened it up and I read it. And it's interesting. It talked about whether momentum actually factors in sports contests or not. They've done a lot of science research behind it, and it's debatable on both sides. Us driving down and scoring in a minute in 4 or 5 plays there at the end of the first half gave us hope. And it allowed me as a coach to come in the locker room and say, look, we drove the ball down a drive before, and Tay Martin dropped 2 easy catches. And for that reason, we didn't score, or we would have scored a touchdown, in my opinion. So we've moved the ball down the field 3 times, but we can only show it twice because we dropped easy passes. So I made sure he knew, understand, look, you're going to get other options. Just play the next play, which he did. But that also gave us a chance as coaches to be able to say, look, guys, we're fine, okay? Let's find a way to minimize the big plays, and let's play fast, and let's see if we can get them fatigued.
All right, last question for Coach here to Guerin.
I just wanted to know how pleased you are for Spencer, a guy who, when we had on a Zoom this week, described the season as a roller coaster. There's no way that's true. And he even had some lulls today with some things that didn't go right, especially early. But to see him persevere and put up the numbers and be so crucial to your win today, I take it that's something that makes you happy as a former quarterback, and obviously as a coach of a kid that you know real well.
Well, there's no question that and my heart broke for him when he fumbled at the end of the game. I just didn't want that to end for him that way because of the game that he had played, and he didn't play his best game in a championship game. Now I'm going to go back and say what I said after that. We didn't protect him very well, and we didn't run the ball very well. But he still made some errant throws, and he was fantastic today as a competitor. And I hated that for him when he dropped the ball. But for our defense to rally and get a stop, and then for them to go onside and kick it to JT, which obviously is the worst guy you could kick it to, is perfect for us. We're able to seal the win. And what you said is exactly right. I'm very proud of his competitive nature. And I'm very proud of his willingness to give up his body and compete and play the game at the highest level. I do want to say one thing before I get off that I said this a month ago, and I'll say it again. This is an unbelievable bowl game. The PlayStation Fiesta Bowl is first class. Everything involved is first class. The yellow coats are first class. The lodging, the facilities, the game day atmosphere, the way we're treated. There's just not many places like this. I also want to say Notre Dame's first class. Their players were first class. I think they hired a fantastic young coach. I had a chance to visit with him total for maybe 15 minutes over a couple days. What a first-class person, going to be a really good young coach. And Notre Dame made a good decision, in my opinion. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime event for everybody involved. I couldn't be any more thankful for the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl and the way we've been treated. And I couldn't be any more thankful for the Oklahoma State fans that followed us to Phoenix. Thank you.